Okay. So our special guest today is the one and only Freedy Johnston, joining us from quarantine. How are you today, Freedy?
I'm doing good. Let's hope there's only one.
That's okay.
How are you guys doing, wherever you are?
We're good. We're just south of Boston. It's pretty hot today.
Oh, okay. I'm about 1,300 miles west.
Nice.
And it's a rainy day.
It's raining. Well, so the reason we asked you on the show, what Aaron and I do on our show is we bring one of our favorite obscure albums and kind of talk about it. And we thought it would probably be more interesting for people to hear from musicians and actors and celebrities, like what their favorite music is. So when we reached out to you, you mentioned Van Morrison's 1977 release, A Period of Transition. So could you tell us about your relationship with this album?
Well, that's my pick was based on, that's just the record that hit me, you know. I was in high school. I lived in a small town, and so the only records I could get were through the Columbia Record Club, or drive to Dodge City, nearby town. So I only knew that, you know, one of the few records I knew about because it was reviewed in stereo review. So I admit my sort of lack of knowledge of bands' earlier stuff until later, you know. So now that's maybe not my favorite band record. I don't think anybody would say that now that I know his stuff. But then I only knew that record, and it was that and the first Elvis Costello record. You know, they're basically blues R&B records. Now that I listened to them, I didn't know what that was. I was into it was just ZZ Top and Aerosmith, pretty much, you know. But you know, I shouldn't shrug. This is my best bands in the world. You know, I was into the best music in the world: Led Zeppelin, Bowie, that kind of stuff. But that record really, and when I was in high school, you know, it was really, I don't know what it is. It has an emotional effect on me. I'll say that. The live playing, the feeling of the real professional, yet kind of live-ish style of the playing, and band just really emoting. It's really more a personal connection from high school.
I listened to this album for the first time yesterday, and
really,
and I'm going to thank you, because what I did, I put my dog on a lead, I grabbed a cold beer, got in my hammock, and just put this on my phone, and I had one of the best afternoons I've had since I've been in isolation.
Man, I'm so happy to have helped make that happen. I can imagine what that must have been like hearing it the first time on an afternoon, if you're a Van fan. You know,
I'm familiar with his songs. I know I had never listened to this album. I didn't know any of the songs, and it's just like, this is going to be my summer beat now, man.
Oh, that's great. I tell you what, if this is only the first time hearing it, a couple songs on there are just truly, well, literally joyous. You know, joyous sound, and Flamingos Fly. Man, I can, if I ever feel down, you know, it is the most joyous music. Flamingos Fly might be the greatest single on that record. Anyway, it's fantastic. I'm glad that you that it's in your playlist now.
Yeah, that's one of our selfish reasons for doing this show, is I'm looking for new music, and
you guys need to turn me on to something. I'm open for suggestions. I don't listen to enough music. I admit that, but it's really not. I don't feel bad about it. I'm working on my songs all the time. My brain gets a little tired of music. Honestly,
yeah.
I'd rather listen to music without words. You know, listen to cool jazz. There's a radio station on internetradio.com. They have a list of stations. It's called Radio One. It's from Italy, and they just cycle all this cool jazz, you know, Coltrane and Miles and stuff, and that just keeps my musical brain busy. So I'm not obsessing about my songs, and I'm not having to listen.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got off on that.
So do you have a favorite track on the album?
I think Flamingos Fly, definitely. Just because I think that's probably the band's favorite track when they recorded. It's just so
Yeah, those kind of
beautiful. But there are other songs that really, like they're just all very, they mean something. Joyous Sound and Cold Wind in August. When I first got the record, of course, I was, oh, this is so weird. I don't even know if I could get into this. The Eternal Kansas City starting the way it does. But he's an artist, so I get it now. It's inspiring. I definitely know that I'm influenced by that record. I was a songwriter, so I'm a drummer too. You could say that. I'm a demo drummer. But anyway, so that kind of playing, that's the way I learned how to play. When I hear my drumming, it's sort of like that basic style.
Joyous Sound really stuck out with me. It's got like a gospel feel almost to it.
All the singers. So there's 3 former Ikettes and some just great singers in the background, and then just great players, great studio players on, and then Dr. John, the producer. I think that's the magic of the record. I didn't know anything about Dr. John either when I bought the record, and didn't for a few years until I was like, oh, they say this guy also has a name, Dr. John. I was like, yeah, Dr. John. I put the two and two together. So it's amazing. It's the 70s, and I think he was the record was really highly anticipated. I don't know, maybe I can only talk about my experiences, I guess, but it was his first record in like 2.5 years, which was a big deal. I haven't put out a record for 5, and before that it wasn't a 5 before. Before that it was 8. So I realized, oh man, if somebody's a fan of me, they're like, is dude still alive? It's just different paces. Back then it was, you didn't put a record out this year, you better get going.
Yeah, get to it.
Yeah, the cool thing about this album in particular is my stepdad is a huge Van Morrison fan and would play these songs all the time, and I would think nothing of it until listening to it. I'm like, I know half this album because I've heard ambient noise for my entire life. So,
Oh, that's great to hear. Yeah, it really helped me to get used to horns in later life. Literally, I was just like into heavy metal stuff. It's like, oh, I like these horns, and now you can't. Horns are very dominant. Horn charts are amazing. That's the way horns have to be. I really am always afraid of doing that on records. So I don't really. Horns are very strong. Yeah, and his vocals are very mixed up, loud, and it's Van. It's just it was. I bought the record on recommendation. I had never heard of him before, and so I didn't know what to expect. So it took me a couple listens. I'm glad you got it on the first listen. I was 17, so I could imagine a 17-year-old even more judgmental. Anyway.
Yeah, I feel like I was born in the wrong generation. It's the same with Zeppelin and Floyd. Like being able to hear these albums for the first time when they first came out is something I don't have, and I feel like I missed out on that. That must be an amazing experience.
Well, I'm in the middle. Yeah, I missed a lot of them, but yeah, I'm old enough now to have that experience. I'm gonna be 60 next year, but records meant so much to me. Like this record was my life. I would really annoy my friends, my brothers, who I shared a bedroom with. I wouldn't play another record for a while, and he's like, are you still playing that record? It's like, that's again, to fast forward, that's how I work on my songs. They just get stuck. So I remember this one being a few weeks, yeah, and almost worn out probably.
Yeah.
And then having to not listen to it for a while. And it's only a 7-song record, which back then was okay. I don't even know what the minutes are, but it's basically half like a CD. It's 30-some minutes, I think.
Yeah.
So it's really more of a, it's surprising that it's so strong for only being 7 songs.
Yeah, I always can tell the mark of a good album is like I was lying there on the hammock and Cold Wind in August finished and it stopped and I'm like, wait, what? Like I want more, and that's it.
Yeah, that's a beautiful song.
Good way to go out.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, it's it holds up. Not every record holds up.
Yeah,
but it's I think it's always going to have a life. And the great Van Morrison records are always going to have a life. Astral Weeks and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
R&B hits. I mean, he's a great.
Yeah, this is, I think, an underappreciated album. So I know it's hard to say because we're watching the country begin to spike again, and we're not sure like when the end to this pandemic is going to be. But what's in store for you when things, I don't know, when things get back to normal or
Right. Man, yeah. Well, I'm continuing. I'll have, I'm working on my new record is entitled Somewhere Love, which is a song. And the songs are written, but it's not recorded fully yet. So that's where I'm at. I would have been, I guess I was going to be back in LA this summer doing that. So that's, just I don't know when.
just push
It's changed the way I'll make it. It might be a lot more close to home.
Mm-hmm.
Calling in some, local talent. There's great people everywhere, but anyway, geez, yeah, I'm gonna make my. That's yeah. For me, I'm very, very simple-minded. I don't have any hobbies. I only write my songs and try to record them. I don't even have a life, actually. I don't have a dog anymore. But so this project is coming to fruition, but it's really well, I guess it's good we're talking about records from my early years. I'm taking this one extremely seriously, and I've already tried to record it a couple times, and as always happens with projects, as I'm sure most musicians who are watching this would agree, sometimes you have to start over, but you want to get it right. And so, yeah, I'm making every song. I'm doing the best as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know how to put, I've done it for a long time, and you change the way you do it, or you change maybe not your standards, but you change what you call like a done song, finished song. I don't know if that makes any sense, but now my standards are extremely high for me. I just like I want to love my record myself, I guess is the way to put it.
Right.
Aaron's a musician, so I think he gets that.
Yeah,
and I think that's pretty fair to say that I'm not going to be lie and say, oh yeah, I'm knocked the last one out of the park. I always knock him out of the park. It's hard to get it on tape, like it's in your head, or even like you want it to be in other people's heads.
Oh, extremely difficult.
It's really hard. It's like catching something that's just ephemeral. So I've learned with time to do as much as I can on my own before giving it to the guys or the girls, whoever, drum parts, bass part, and that helps a lot. So it's just a matter of that's a matter of casting it, and getting it a sort of, this studio with these guys at this time. That's sort of that's part of making a record at this. Think about the period of transition. Dr. John didn't say, well, let's just find some guy around the street. They call him like, Marlo and Ollie and all these guys, so it's like, that's kind of how I want to treat these songs.
Mm-hmm.
That's what again, I hear some musician talking, it's like I said, it's like one of the most boring things. Vaporize forever about what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And the only thing I really can do, and I really stand by, is I finish the lyrics and melody. Nice. And that's what I'm currently, the other project I'm really trying to get going with my friend Howard in LA is just a simple listing of my lyrics on my site. My site doesn't really exist, but I wanted to come back to something. All I have in my life are my lyrics and my melodies. There's recordings. They're pretty good, some of them, but I really, the song is what I did.
Yeah.
And so I want to I've got them all. I've got 49 picked out, and I'm doing just solo acoustic versions to put up there with the lyrics.
Oh, nice.
Just to have it up there. Because once I started going through them, it's like, oh, I forgot about that one. I forgot about this one. You know, it's like this is my life. I'll be very honest. It's very morbid. A friend of mine, you know, went down with the ship recently, you know, went down with the virus. And I'm like, I don't want to just have that happen and not at least have something up there that I had control over. You know, this is what I did in my life.
Yeah, your legacy.
I don't think the records are, they're just, you know, you can't, the records are loved, some of them more than others, but the songs are my songs, and constantly I hear from people at, obviously solo shows, but sometimes when I break down at a band show, oh, I never really got that song until you played it solo, you know, so it's like, oh, so here it is, better or worse, the solo version. And often, I would even agree, often the band version is better, but not always. Mm-hmm. So that's my other project, is to get the lyrics and the solo recordings on the website and to get this record done, nice. Which will happen.
If it makes you feel better, I can tell you, it was a number of years ago now. My wife went through a period where all she was listening to was your music.
Oh God, you poor guy.
No, it's great. You know, I'm a big fan of Tom Waits, and you're a much more listenable person. Like, you know, Tom's got his own thing going on, but
he's a great God. But I have a different voice. But that's really a great honor. But I imagine it must be tough for some couples if, like, you know, the other person isn't that. I've thought about this for years. I've had experiences with it. Someone saying, oh, I really had I had to listen to your music because of my wife or husband, and I finally got into it.
Well, it was nice because at the time that she was just, you know, constantly working through these albums, we were working together, so we commuted together, and since then we've gone on to do we're working in different places. But that period of my life, like, you're the soundtrack to that, so you got a good emotional connection.
And see, I take that as whatever, as, you know, I think I take that very seriously, even though I can say personally, like, oh yeah, I like that record. Well, it doesn't matter what I think about it. Somebody really likes it, and somebody, when they hear it, cries, you know. And so it's like, I really understand that. I don't take it lightly. Like, if there's somebody out there and they hear me say something flippant about music, I get it that, you know, it's out of my hands. And once I make that recording, you know, someone can just really, it's like, oh, I don't even care if you made it. This song means so much to me, you know. So the period of transition record, I don't even know if I would have bought another Van Morrison record, you know. It was just became a soundtrack.
Yeah.
I actually didn't continue buying his records. I just, you know, I got stuck. I didn't want it to change. That happens sometimes, you know, with artists. That happened with me. One of my favorite bands of all time, you know, with the Stones, because I was the hugest fan of Some Girls, which came out at a similar time. And I stopped. You know, I mean, I loved them after that. You know, it's like, okay, that was their high point. Saying all this, knowing the cruelty of life and how someone is, you know, I'm in the same biz, so I have to really be. You have to really have a thick skin to think. Somebody's like, oh yeah, he was a Freedy guy. He was good up to this point. Then he just, you know, lost it. You know, so I know all that. Or some people, you know, would say otherwise. It's just the way it is. You know, but I don't know I got on that. I just am still writing songs, and so I'm very happy about that. Like, you know, that'll end someday, but you know.
Oh, and hopefully at some point you'll be able to tour again. We caught you twice in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
I want to say
whereabouts at the where would that have been?
One of them, actually, I don't know if it was in Fall River, right by the Battleship Cove.
The house concert. Were you there for that?
I think that might have been it. It was an old factory.
Awesome. That was one of my first house concerts when I started. I live in California now. I say, if I live anywhere, I live in the Mojave Desert. You know, Joshua Tree, Yucca Valley. That's when I go back to California. I'll go back there. But I was living in New York, or I was living in Jersey City up to that time that you saw me. And I decided, okay, I'm going to do house concerts on the way to California because my dog was old and was going to die. I was like, I'm going to give him one more warm winter, So that was the first show.
Awesome. It was a good show.
It was really, and the folks were, it was the first show for them. I think one of their friends had done it before, so they were calming them down, going, what's going to happen? Tell us what's going to happen, please. It's like, well, about 30 or 40 people are going to show up in about 10 minutes, and you're not going to know any of it. And they're like, okay, if you say so. And they had rented chairs and everything, and as you know, it went so well. What they realized was that, oh, I see you at the gigs all the time. It's like you're kind of already got common interests. So I started doing those out. I went all the way out west. Went through my hometown, towns like Lawrence and Wichita. Ended up on the West Coast, and then my dog passed, and then I stayed. I was like, yeah, forget it. I've lived a lot of places, so now it's time to live in the desert. Anyway, enough of my life story there.
So, what's one change in the way that the world operates would you like to see come out of this pandemic experience?
What you mean? I'm sorry. Say it again.
So, what's one change in the way that the world operates would you like to see come out of the whole pandemic experience we've been through?
Oh man, I tell you, my opinions again, as I'm a musician talking, I'm sure all you guys agree with me. There's so much stuff that has to change right now. We can go on, but I don't want to get political, man. But we're going to hopefully come out of this with some real changes to the way the Popo acts towards, people they have in custody, towards the way politicians root out some of the scum, that kind of thing. So, yeah, things are going to change. It helps, I think, to look back at previous times that we thought it was over, and realize we got through that somehow. There was a movie or a documentary, The Late Great, or something about New York City being the end. It started with Hugh Downs narrating. It was like 1971 when New York City went bankrupt or something. New York City, a dying city. Maybe I don't know. I'm totally paraphrasing. I don't remember the dialogue. That's hilarious now. It's hilarious. Like, oh yeah, I sure was dead. So whatever I say about now is going to change because the tendency. The great statesman Obama, he's come back on TV, and I hate to. And I'll just as kind of like a comic, I'll imitate his professorial, really too slow way of talking now. It's like, dude, no, we need you to come out and say, oh, this is so fucked up. I'm with you guys. I totally went off on a tangent there. But I love that guy so much, and to see him back in the light, but to see him he's so diplomatic. And I guess my point was that he's just basically saying, like, hey, guys, this is going to be better in the general tendency, as long as somebody doesn't set off a nuclear bomb
in the meantime,
between India and Pakistan or whatever the hell, So I think that, like, some pundit was saying, well, I think in 100 years, China will be more like France than France will be more like China. So that's kind of hopeful, I mean, the machines are going to take over. That's too bad. It's already happened. Yeah. Hopefully we have a little time left.
Have some fun in the meantime.
Yeah, well, I hope that things, but in general, sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
No, just that I think, there are going to be a lot of changes. People are certainly going to be, what are there, 10 or a dozen full-on multi-million-dollar virus searches going on now, basically like Manhattan Project things going on. That's going to find more than a cure for the virus,
Mm-hmm.
That they're going to find new, and it's like, well, we wouldn't have found this unless we were looking for the coronavirus vaccine. So that's one thing. People who have had to be around their families that they've forgotten they had,
Yeah.
And that's going to be like, yeah. Or the other changes, there's changes good and bad. A lot of people realize, yeah, we are not meant to be together, are we? And so I think there'll be a lot of reality in home life after this. Kids having to learn, like, yeah, okay, I do have to do my chores. I do have to actually listen. I sound like an idiot. I'm not going to be there. I don't have kids, so I can't talk like that.
But it's true. I have kids. That is true.
Yeah. So those are the changes everybody would predict,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully, nobody that we know dies. What else can I say? We all hope that.
Well, Freedy, I want to thank you very much for taking time to talk to us today.
Well, thanks, you guys. Thanks, Chris and Aaron.
Yep.
Get your names right.
You did.
I appreciate it, Chris and Aaron, for having me. Hope it went okay.
You're awesome. We're
just blabbing, and thanks a lot. And so I'll see you next time. I'm let's say maybe 2021. Hopefully I can make it.
Awesome.
Down